They emailed me, asking for money. Not a small favor. Not a survey. Not even a, "How are you doing?" No, they wanted a donation. And what I sent back wasn't money. It was a number so uncomfortable, they never replied again. If you've ever felt ignored, underestimated, or just completely used by a system that was supposed to help you, then this story is going to hit hard. So go ahead, hit like, subscribe, and let's dive into one of the most quietly satisfying revenge stories you'll hear today. Hi, my name is Sophie Bennett, and 4 years ago, I walked across a stage in a rented gown, shook hands with someone I'd never met before, and officially became a graduate. I remember the applause, the photos, my parents smiling like everything we'd sacrificed had finally paid off. And in that moment, I believed it too. University for me wasn't terrible. It wasn't magical either. It was just fine. Late nights, instant noodles, group projects where one person did nothing, and lectures that sometimes felt more like performances than education. But beneath all of that, there was a quiet, constant pressure sitting in the background. A number that kept growing. A number I tried not to think about too much. My student loan. Every term, every book, every accommodation payment, it all stacked up like invisible bricks. And by the time I graduated, I wasn't just leaving with a degree. I was leaving with weight. Real weight. The kind that follows you into adulthood, sits beside you at your job, and whispers every time you check your bank account. 4 years later, that number hadn't gone away. It had grown. Slowly, quietly, with interest, like something alive. Then one evening, after a long, draining workday, I opened my inbox, and there it was. Subject line: "Give back to the place that shaped you." I almost laughed. The audacity of it felt surreal. I clicked it anyway. The email was beautifully designed. Soft autumn colors, golden sunlight washing over the campus lawns, students laughing like life had no consequences. It was polished, elegant, carefully crafted to make you feel nostalgic, grateful, almost guilty. The words were warm, inviting. They talked about opportunity, about helping future students, about giving back. And then, at the bottom, like a quiet punchline, 3 little options: £25, £50, £100. Just neat little radio buttons, simple, clean, as if generosity could be reduced to a click. I sat there, staring at it longer than I expected. My fingers hovered over the trackpad, but not to donate. No, something else was building. Not anger exactly, not even bitterness, just this strange, heavy clarity. A thought that kept repeating in my head: "You're asking me for money when I'm still paying for you." I leaned back in my chair, exhaled slowly, and felt this quiet shift inside me. Not rage, not revenge, just honesty. And that's when I started typing. I kept my tone warm. That was important to me. I didn't want to sound bitter. I didn't want to sound sarcastic. If anything, I wanted to sound sincere. Because I was. I thanked them for reaching out. I told them I appreciated the work they were doing. I even said I would genuinely love to give back to the institution that had played a role in shaping my life. And then, I told them the truth. I explained that my current student loan balance stood at £34,200. I even mentioned almost politely that it was continuing to accumulate interest at a rate they were more than welcome to look up themselves if they were curious. I wrote that once that number reached 0, I would be absolutely delighted to consider making a contribution. And finally, I added one last line. Calm, gentle, almost cheerful. I hope the campus improvements can wait until then. I read it over twice. No aggression, no insults, just facts. Clean, simple, undeniable facts. Then I hit send. For a moment, I just stared at the screen. My heart was beating slightly faster than it should have been for something so small. But it didn't feel like rebellion. It felt like reclaiming something. Like for once, I wasn't being quietly pushed into gratitude I didn't fully feel. A few minutes later, I received an automated reply. "Thank you for your message. A member of our team will be in touch shortly." And I smiled. Not because I expected a response, but because I suddenly pictured it. Somewhere in an office filled with cheerful posters and donation targets, someone opened my email expecting enthusiasm, and instead got a number. £34,200. Not a donation, a reality check. I imagined the pause, the slight shift in posture, The moment where the script no longer applied. Days passed. Then weeks. 6 weeks to be exact. No follow-up, no reply, nothing, just silence. And honestly, that silence said everything. It told me that my honesty didn't fit into their system, that my reality didn't align with their expectations. And weirdly, I found that incredibly funny. Not in a bitter way, not in a gotcha kind of way. Just quietly satisfying. Because for once the conversation stopped pretending. I didn't insult them. I didn't attack them. I just held up a mirror. And sometimes, that's all it takes. I don't hate my university. I don't regret going. But I also don't owe them gratitude in the form of money while I'm still carrying the cost of being there. And until that balance hits zero, I'll keep my donations exactly where they are. At zero. There was no angry reply, no defensive explanation, no attempt to justify. Just silence. And in that silence, there was something powerful. Because for the first time, the roles had flipped. They asked, I answered, and they didn't know what to do with it. No arguments, no debates, just truth, sitting there, unanswered. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It doesn't come with shouting or confrontation. Sometimes, it's just honesty delivered at the right moment, and the right people going very, very quiet. If this story made you smile, or hit a little too close to home, go ahead and smash that like button, and tell me in the comments, what's the most subtle, but satisfying revenge you've ever seen? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.